If you really want to understand where American politics is heading, don't start with the presidential polls. Start with the governor's race that most people assume Democrats will win anyway. On a December weekend, while most New Yorkers were thinking more about holiday plans than primaries, President Donald Trump quietly turned the 2026 race for New York governor into a test of loyalty to his economic story. He endorsed Nassau County Executive Bruce Blakeman, called him MAGA all the way, and told voters this is the man who will help him make New York safe and affordable. As Trump boasts, he is driving down gas and food prices for the whole country. That one endorsement packs three big things into a single headline. First, it shows how aggressively Trump is willing to shape down ballot races from the Oval Office. Second, it reveals the kind of Republican he wants on the front lines in blue states, hard line on immigration, loud on culture war, branded as MAGA all the way. And third, it tells you how Trump wants to be remembered for the second term, not as the president of tariffs and shutdowns, but as the guy who fixed your grocery bill and your gas tank so well that even a New York gubernatorial candidate thanks him on television. The facts of the move are straightforward. Elise Stefanik, the powerful House Republican from upstate New York and longtime Trump ally, abruptly dropped out of the governor's race and announced she will not seek re-election to Congress. Her exit removed the nightmare scenario party strategists dreaded, two top Trump allies beating each other up in a costly primary, while Democrat Kathy Hochul sits back and counts her campaign cash. Trump had been signaling that he didn't want to choose between them. Reports say he told Blakeman on the phone that he hated seeing good Republicans go after each other. Once Stefanik stepped aside, that problem vanished, and so did Trump's hesitation. Within a day, the president took to Truth Social to make it official. Highly respected and very popular Nassau County executive Bruce Blakeman is running to be the next governor of New York, Trump wrote. Bruce Blakeman is a fantastic guy, will win the big November election, and without hesitation has my complete and total endorsement for governor of the once great state of New York. It can be great again. Bruce Blakeman will never let you down. The wording is classic Trump, capital letters, nostalgia for past greatness, and the magic phrase complete and total endorsement that GOP candidates still treat like a golden ticket in primaries. He went further, painting Blakeman as the ideal MAGA governor. As Nassau County executive, Trump said, Blakeman is working tirelessly with the brave heroes of ICE, Border Patrol, and law enforcement to keep our border secure, stop migrant crime, safeguard our community, and ensure law and order. On policy, Trump promised that as Governor Blakeman would grow the economy, cut taxes and regulations, promote Made in the USA, champion American energy dominance, strengthen our military veterans, advance election integrity, and protect our always under siege Second Amendment. In other words, if you wrote the MAGA wish list on a whiteboard and asked for a human avatar to walk it into Albany, Trump is telling his base, this is your man. But Trump's endorsement is only half the story. The other half is how Blakeman responded and what that reveals about the economic narrative Republicans want to sell in 2026. In interviews and statements, Blakeman said he was blessed and grateful to have Trump's support, which is standard. Then he added something more specific. President Trump is driving down gasoline prices and slashing the cost of prescription drugs. Securing our borders has made America safer. President Trump loves New York, and we will be partners in making New York safe and affordable. That sentence is designed to do three jobs at once. First, it translates national messaging into state politics. Republicans know that New Yorkers, like everyone else, are angry about prices and unsure about the future. Framing the race around safe and affordable lets Blakeman connect Trump's national brand to local pain points: crime, migration, rent, groceries. Second, it flatters Trump's ego by attributing any recent easing in some prices directly to his decisions, even when the data tells a more complicated story. Fact-checkers note that some food and energy prices have come down a bit from their peaks, but many staples, meats, coffee, electricity, are still up compared with when Trump took office. And third, it tells Republican voters what kind of Governor Blakeman wants to be, the in-state partner of the president, not some independent figure who occasionally breaks with the national line. Step back and think like an investor looking at a long-term trend. New York has been a reliably blue state in presidential elections for decades. Democrats currently hold the governor's mansion, both U.S. Senate seats and a strong majority of House seats. On paper, this doesn't look like a high-confidence flip for Republicans. So why is Trump spending political capital here? One obvious reason is optics. If he can make the New York governor's race competitive, or even just closer than expected, he can point to that as proof that his message on inflation, crime and immigration, resonates even behind enemy lines. Another reason is personal. Trump still sees himself as a New Yorker in exile, the man who lost his home state's political establishment, but not its people. Blakeman is a Long Island Republican who has built his brand on exactly the issues that animate Trump's base: tough talk on immigration enforcement, opposition to transgender athletes in women's sports, and conservative use of opioid settlement money. Trump endorsed him for county executive before and is now elevating him again, turning one local ally into a test case for a broader MAGA inroad strategy in suburban New York. But the riskiest part of this strategy is the economic claim at its core that Trump has meaningfully lowered gas and food prices and that voters feel that lower pressure in their pockets. This is where the billionaire narrator has to pull out the spreadsheets. When Trump says prices are coming down and groceries are down, energy is way down, independent reviews of official data paint a mixed picture. Between late 2024, when he took office again, and mid-2025, the overall cost of groceries used at home actually rose by roughly 1%. Some items fell. Eggs came down sharply after bird flu spikes. Bread and some fruit slipped a bit. But many everyday goods rose, including meats, poultry, coffee, sugar, and sweets. Energy tells a similar story. Overall energy prices fell about 2.6% in the early part of his second term, driven largely by trends that started before he returned to office and by global oil dynamics beyond any one president's control. Gasoline at the pump is roughly similar to where it stood when he took office, and most of the drop from the $45 range at the 2022 peak happened during Joe Biden's term, not Trump's. Electricity, on the other hand, has become more expensive. So when Blakeman thanks Trump for helping Americans have lower gas and food prices, he is amplifying a political narrative, not reciting a clean statistical win. That doesn't mean voters will punish him for it. Politics isn't a quarterly earnings call. It's perception, vibe, and who people blame when they open the bills. Many Americans are still angry at Biden for the post-COVID spike that made everything feel suddenly unaffordable. If inflation cools a bit under Trump and prices stop rising as fast, some voters may feel a sense of relief, even if the level of prices never returns to the old normal. Trump and Blakeman are betting that this relative relief, at least it's not going up like it did before, will be enough for them to claim credit. For a middle-class family in Nassau County that watched grocery bills jump 15-20% over a few years, a flat line can feel like progress even if the baseline is still painful. At the same time, the structural affordability problems that matter most in New York, housing, property taxes, child care, transit costs, are much bigger than a one-year wiggle in gas prices. The New York region faces the same national housing crunch as the rest of the country: pandemic-era price spikes layered on top of higher interest rates, frozen inventory, and zoning rules that make it hard to build enough homes where people actually want to live. Trump's broader national policies on housing, from floating 50-year mortgages to promising some of the most aggressive housing reform plans in American history, while also raising tariffs on key building materials, haven't yet translated into a coherent fix. If anything, economists warn that tariffs push up the cost of construction and inflation overall, acting like a hidden tax on the same middle-class families Blakeman says he wants to help. So you end up with a split screen. On one half, you have Trump and Blakeman, arm in arm, talking about law and order, secure borders, American energy dominance, and an affordability comeback story. Gas down, drugs cheaper, borders tighter, New York about to be safe and affordable again. On the other half, you have data showing that many key prices are still higher than when Trump started this term, that tariffs are adding hundreds of dollars a month to some households' costs, and that credit card delinquencies and housing stress remain near decade-plus highs. The election will hinge on which half looks more real to the median voter in places like Long Island, Staten Island, and the Hudson Valley. There is also an intra-party message baked into this endorsement. Stefanik's exit, combined with Trump's rapid move to bless Blakeman, tells ambitious Republicans that even long-standing loyalty is not a guarantee of future support. Trump didn't clear the field for Stefanik earlier in the year, even though she had defended him during impeachments and built her national profile as one of his loudest champions in Congress. When Blakeman emerged as a viable option and the risk of a messy intra-MAGA primary grew, Trump stayed above the fray until one candidate removed herself, then came down firmly on the side of the other. The message, Trump's endorsement, is transactional and tactical, not sentimental for Democrats. The endorsement is both a warning and an opportunity. It is a warning because it shows Trump intends to play hard in states that have been treated as safely blue in statewide races, forcing them to defend expensive media markets like New York City while also fighting in classic swing states. It is an opportunity because it invites a contrast. They can highlight the gap between Trump's claims on prices and independent data, point out the hit from tariffs, and frame Blakeman as a local version of the national agenda that many New Yorkers already distrust. The more Blakeman leans into Trump's framing on gas and groceries, the easier it becomes for opponents to tie him directly to everything voters still hate about the cost of living. In the end, think about this race the way you would think about a stock that suddenly becomes a proxy for a whole sector. Bruce Blakeman is not just a county executive running for governor anymore. He is now a ticker symbol for Trump's economic story in blue America. If he overperforms or even seriously scares Democrats in New York, it will be read as evidence that Trump's "I fix prices" message has legs beyond his base. If he underperforms, it will be a warning that simply repeating "gas is down, groceries are down" in a world of stubbornly high rents and stubbornly expensive shopping carts is not enough. That's why this one endorsement, dropped on a Saturday night after one ally quietly stepped off the stage, matters more than the usual primary drama. It is Trump testing whether his version of economic reality, with all caps endorsements and glowing claims of lower prices, can still override what voters see when they swipe their card. And it is Bruce Blakeman betting his entire future that standing next to that story and thanking Trump for it will look smart when New Yorkers finally walk into the voting booth.